just come over from Instagram and you've never met us before, this guy is just here, and I don't know why. I don't know who he is. I don't know what he wants. I want to get him to leave. No, this is Mark. For those of you from Instagram will know I usually just call him my fella, because I still feel weird about saying my husband.
Yeah, I don't like saying my wife.
Do you feel weird?
No, I call you the missus.
Well, how does it feel when I say my husband?
I feel like an ancient old man.
Shall we just go back to being boyfriend and
Yeah.
girlfriend? Can you call me your girlfriend?
My girlfriend.
I like it.
Do you?
Say it again.
You're my girlfriend.
Oh my God, I really like it.
You're my girlfriend. I don't really know what variety to bring to that sentence.
I'm going to say, this is my boyfriend. Oh my God, I feel like...
I feel about 6.
Okay, this is my boyfriend, Mark.
I feel 6. No, isn't it weird with boys?
Well, interesting, if you're watching Married First Sight UK, every time Sophie says, "You're my husband," it feels so terrifying because it's so... Ownership. So, does it ever sound nice when you say my husband? When you hear my husband? Or is it always...
It sounds
I don't really say
it sounds too grown up.
Yeah.
Wow, that was loud.
Sorry.
What the fuck was going on in your throat? I mean, if they need sound effects anywhere, they just need to film you swallow.
So what do you think? Would you like to go back to being called boyfriend and girlfriend? Honestly, I'm going to see if you really do this, because I'm going to be annoyed if you don't try.
Being a really demanding girlfriend.
Up my thumb. Guess what I've got? I've got an agonising thumb.
Is that because you had it up your arse? Like
Just ignore him. From my phone. I've got phone pain.
It's not phone pain.
It's really bad. No, don't go too far.
It's
phone pain.
It's called thumbing.
Right, morning. Happy birthday, Bernie. Can we write down? We'll sing you anybody's birthday. Henrietta Henson. You know, I messaged you yesterday because I just happened to be on my phone and I saw your message pop under our yesterday's live, saying that it'd been your birthday and your family had forgotten, but your amazing online family, i.e. you lovely subs, had all wished her a happy birthday. So we will be singing you happy birthday at the end. Henrietta, have you written that down?
Yeah, Henrietta and Bernie. I like this.
And Michelle.
Helen.
Michelle.
Michelle. Helen Fiona Snotrag Toadfish Reed Groves used to love being called a wife, but now I hate his guts. So I hate being called a wife. Fair dues.
So do you like being called the ex? My better half is a nice phrase. Christos, you're so old-fashioned.
My other
He's
half.
not my better half.
My other half.
He's my other half.
Right.
It's cute, isn't it, other half? It is. Two hearts.
I like that, better
two
half.
Two halves of a heart.
What's that?
But I do think, actually, Christos, I think I'm going to disagree with you on this. I think when you say my other half...
Better half.
Or better half, that's become a bit old person says that. What do you think, Natasha Tiramos? He's your fella.
Oh. Christos.
I love being a wife, says Fiona.
You saying he's being old-fashioned?
Did we get Bernie down?
Got Bernie, yeah.
He's my handsome devil, says Belle. Oh, I like that. Ellie says my fella. I call my fella. Russ Souch, my partner. Raspberry Mojito, happy birthday, Bernie. We've got Bernie down. We're going to sing to you
Nora
later.
Doyle, my main squeeze.
Oh my God, that's a bit of a mouthful.
Oh,
so when you're ringing up the gas board and you say my main squeeze will be in...
It makes me think of other things.
I'm going to start saying
Mandy
my boyfriend.
Arthur, I love it when I hear my husband refer to me as his wife. Yeah, you see, for some people, I think it is a...
I quite like it when I hear you say it, but you never say it.
What?
My wife. Why don't you say it?
I do to the gas man. I usually say, oh yeah, no, my wife was complaining about that. My wife was saying that the other day.
I love saying my
The
husband,
wife.
says Jan. It feels like us against the world.
Yeah.
Love partner in crime, says Sarah Beagley.
Jackie Villino,
Charter boyfriend would be a good thing.
Yeah. I say my hubby, says Sonia.
Hubby.
Fiona Snotrag Toadish Reed Donovan. Has that just changed in a minute? Or was that a different
Now,
one?
hubby is... What's the connotation? Hubby. When I hear the word hubby...
I think of cubbyhole.
I think of cosy jumpers. I think of that sort of husband that gets up and makes you a cup of tea in the morning and brings it up. They're nice, those kinds of husbands. And then those kinds of husbands that go, when you've had a bad back all the day before, in the morning go, how's your back today?
What's it like having a boyfriend?
Not boyfriends that don't say, how's your back today?
What's it like having a boyfriend who pulls your thumb from your arse and then decides to kind of get you
Okay,
up?
don't go too far. You always go
She
too far.
who should be obeyed. No, the other one was me. It's you, Helen.
He who should be behaved. That's good.
Amanda Roach.
Hubby is cuddly bear. It's like a cuddly bear husband.
Yeah, but it's not
hubby
sexy.
Well, cuddly bears can be very sexy.
Can they?
Absolutely.
Really?
Especially if they're making you tea and asking how your back is when you've had a bad back.
But don't you have to go through all the fur to find the bits?
I like fur.
All right. Alicia Borans, I did. She was 22.
Chesababe's husband just bought her a cuppa in bed. What is your husband's name? I'm going to send him a kiss. What is his name?
Claire Messenger, I don't like to hear best friend. Makes me feel the other friends don't count as much.
I don't like best friend. I don't say it.
Yeah. Mark, I thought the weekly rushes might have popped up yesterday. Are you having a week off? Yes, due to the funeral, there just wasn't, it didn't feel right this weekend, so there will be a weekly rushes this coming Friday. But you're right, there's been a week off,
Natasha Tiramos, my husband is definitely old-fashioned, but I love that about him. Oh, okay, you keep calling each other other halves. It's nice.
Other halves. Okay.
Hubby's name is Kev. Kev, I love you, Kev. You bring up cups of tea for your wife, other half, girlfriend, and do you ask her how her back is when she's had a bad back the day before?
Kev is a hubby.
Kev is good.
He's a hubby.
You still haven't asked me about my bloody back.
Well, I presume it's got better.
But Mark,
How's
when
your back?
you've got something wrong with you, I'm asking you, I'm looking after you. This lousy group of people last night didn't even make me a cup of tea.
Yes, I did.
Beg for it.
Yes,
I had
I
to
did.
beg
No,
for
you
it.
did not have to
I
beg.
had a cold pack on the front.
Poor me.
I had
Hang
a
on
cold
minute.
pack on the front and I had a hot water bottle on the
I
back.
was busy editing. I'm sorry, I was doing other stuff. You were lying on the sofa
I'll tell you
with a freeze pack on.
thing. I learnt about in sickness and in health yesterday,
Oh,
not only from
shut
him
up.
but from my daughters.
Oh, that'd be ridiculous. Angela Thompson,
Hang on. I feel unheard.
I can't agree. The one thing you are not is unheard. I can't agree, Mark. I find my hubs very sexy. Okay,
Yeah,
well,
I
that's
agree.
good.
I
That's
think
good.
a cuddly hubby is sexy. But
Why
you
do
don't
I-
have
why
you
do I-
don't have to find her husband sexy.
Why do I feel like I've been thrown under a bus in about 8 different ways here?
Well, stand up.
I don't want to stand up.
No, I don't know what I meant.
I don't want to stand up. My stud muffin, says Rachel Lucy.
Oh,
Yeah.
stud muffin. And you just say that casually. My stud muffin.
Did you say it to a friend? Oh yeah, no, this is my stud muffin. Oh, this is Mark, my stud muffin. Sounds a bit weird, doesn't it?
Anyway, we've gone right off track, haven't we? Lovely to see you all. And it's for a reason. We looked at the news today and there was so much about Russia and the economy and house stamps and duty stamps and all of that. We just thought we don't feel like it yet. Because I think we're all feeling, and it was Mark that picked up on this morning, there is a bit of an emotional come down after the sadness and the beauty and the breathtakingness of it all, the funeral. And we need to just soft land a bit, I think.
Yeah, emotional come downs. I mean, I think we've had one enormous emotional come down after the after COVID, and then I think you have something like this, and it's been quite a big event, hasn't it? I mean, it's
Just got to pause you a minute, because Laurel Nichols calls her husband my onion bargee. I think you win, Laurel.
I think you do win. That's quite
I love
something.
an onion bargee.
Yeah.
God, why do I never let myself have an onion bargee? I love them so much. Next time we have an Indian, can we have an onion bargee?
Yeah, of course you can. God, I thought that was a robin on the table. It was so bizarre. So yeah, emotional come down. So there's a piece in the Independent
It is
today saying,
exhausting.
feeling strangely tired after the Queen's
Yeah.
funeral, you might be on an emotional come down.
I think we should do a poll.
Okay, well, let's have a look. Okay, because you always disagree with how I word it, tell me. Are you experiencing an emotional come down?
Yeah. Well done.
Shut up.
I think you should be nicer to me
I
now.
don't want to be.
Well, I'm not. I'm going to go.
I'm your husband again.
I'm
I'm
gonna
not
leave
your
you.
girlfriend. Are you experiencing an emotional come down? The problem with an emotional come down for anyone with any kind of depression or bipolar is you're on a constant or a forever fluid process of an emotional come down. I've got a big meeting
I
after
watch
this.
him do it
I've got a big
halfway
meeting
through a
after this,
sentence.
and I'm pretty certain I'm gonna. It's an important meeting, but I'm pretty certain I'm gonna have an emotional come down off the back of that. So you don't. I mean, you do have emotional come downs. I've noticed that your emotional come downs usually come after the cumulative effect of people close to you having had their emotional come downs. Whereas there's nothing ostensibly in the world that makes you have an emotional come down apart from when the. Did you have one around the funeral? Have you had one?
I think it is strange, and I think other people that might live with or be married to or be onion-bardied with somebody that suffers with depression, is you're right, the barometer for the other person kind of gets messed up. Because I now know you so well that I can see before you see that you're going down.
That's the beginning of the end of our relationship.
So I steel myself to push through and be, what's the word, as positive as I can be. So I don't ever really know what I'm feeling, if I'm honest. But what I would say is that I am also just naturally born half full person. So I will, like, you know what I found most difficult is the thing that I was talking about, that was one of the reasons that I loved the funeral and everything, was that the city, London, felt safer. And so I've got that feeling of panic coming back about no police.
And that was because there were thousands of police on the
It was as simple as that. I got emotional, didn't I, when I saw these police, this big... I said, oh my God, we have got police, but we just don't ever see them. And so more than anything, I've gone back to feeling a bit scared the whole time. So, yeah.
Well, you say that thing about being half full. I disagree. When I'm not hampered by my mental health, I too can be really half full. And
I know.
And
I agree.
you know, and I think that for me is always the frustration, and also the kind of pretty obvious kind of signpost that I'm going through a bit of a sort of you know, a process or a bad patch or whatever, is that I struggle to be able to half full anything. Sarah Begley says, yes, we've been through months of what next. I think lots of folk are crashing at the moment. And Chesababe says, I feel a bit like I did in the pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one of the things
that... Because it gave us a pause, didn't it? The funeral paused us all for a bit.
But don't you think at the back, yes, there's the mourning, and yes, there's the tragedy and the grief of any funeral, and it, as we've talked a lot already, it triggers memories of other... I think we underestimate, because this word is a dirty word, existential. I think we underestimate the way in which most funerals challenge us on an existential level. They say to us, life is impermanent. What is the point of life? How long is it? It's fleeting. It's passing. What are our relationships like? And not necessarily in a negative way. You can turn that into a positive. But I think at the point that someone dies or a coffin comes in or you go through mourning in the way that we have as a nation, and I think maybe nationally we're reflecting on what an absolute fucking shit show it's been for a considerable amount of time. And possibly, yeah, we all want the funeral to perhaps bind us and repair us and galvanise change. But maybe deep down we're all existentially thinking back to the same old fucking shit. Do you know what I mean? And I do genuinely think, and I think that might be what is in an emotional come down after something like this.
You know, it's like we were saying this morning, isn't it? Even as you listen to all the news and you seem to think, I can't do this. I can't actually get back into hearing about all this stuff, because there was this unrealistic pause. Now we've got Liz Truss in America, we've got this, we've got that, and you just feel drained from it, because everything feels so relentless over the last couple of years, doesn't it? And yesterday, as I was going to bed, there was a programme that I caught about the mental health of young people in this country.
Yes,
and it was so sad, and it was so depressing. And we always said, didn't we, when we used to have our chats through the pandemic, what's coming with this tsunami of mental health issues, anxiety, psychosis, all these things that are coming for young people.
Alcoholism.
And here it is, and alcoholism and all of this stuff. And so I think we had a pause with the Queen. With what happened with the Queen, we just paused again. And now we feel, I shouldn't speak for anyone else, and I feel like now we're plunged back into it. And all we can keep doing is push through, another day, you know.
I suppose it's as soon as you start seeing Putin's face, you go, yawn. You see Truss's face, you yawn. You see Biden doddering around, you go, oh, Christ.
We're in the hands of idiots.
I suppose, actually, there is something to be said for Justin Trudeau singing Bohemian Rhapsody at piano, because it's just, what the hell? I just want to read Shoshana. I feel a bit fragile. Someone said to me, how can you feel sad for someone you didn't know? And I felt so small.
Oh,
that's not very nice.
No.
Everyone deals with emotions differently,
Well,
and that's
yeah,
okay.
I think we've got to be more careful about what we say to each other. If you're saying, oh, wow, that's so interesting, how are you feeling that with someone you don't know?
Yeah, you can genuinely ask as an inquiring
But, I mean,
question.
I think 2 seconds of pausing and thinking, it brings up all our feelings, like Mark said, about the meaning of it all, about people that we've lost, about our own death. Will we be loved when we die in that way? What will our funeral be like? Who will be there? Who will care? I mean, it brings up absolutely every emotion, because it was just, we were forced to face it every single day. Whereas usually we push things away when we think about death. And so it was a funeral for all of us in a way. It was very odd. Yeah.
Yeah.
But moving on from that, what about Princess Charlotte and George? I mean, this story isn't going away. I think we were all, oh my God, her little face, her little hat. I just find her adorable, Princess Charlotte.
I felt like I didn't really see them in all
Well,
the
I
coverage.
think it was very respectful. We saw enough, you know. I mean, this is what they're born into. This is going to be their life. They, of course, have huge privilege, but also they have to learn, you know, the business. This is the business, isn't it? If their dad was a donut maker, they probably would have been down the donut shop on a Saturday helping him put the donuts in the oil or whatever, you know.
Yeah. Good analogy there.
I just fancied a donut.
Yeah,
so
no.
it
I
sort of
just,
segued
as you
into
said that, I smelt donuts. Yeah.
But charming, beautifully behaved, so polite. I loved the moment, as I said to you the other day, when she went to him, bow now, and you saw him go. Now, was she being sweet and kind, or was she a bossy little sister? I think she's quite a little bossy sister. I love bossy little girls. I love little madams. I just do. I love precocious kids. It's been one of my great sadnesses that our kids haven't been precocious. I don't understand why they haven't been.
Well, according to Ulrika Johnson, who's done a piece in The Sun, she says that we're breeding spoilt brats, a nation of spoilt brats with zero attention span. And she claims they could learn from George and Charlotte. The only caveat I would say here, and you're going to talk about it in a bit more detail, is this. Their circumstances are so spectacularly different to everyone else's.
Anyone else, yeah.
Their responsibilities are spectacularly different, and so consequently, the need for them to be, in a sense, controlled is really crucially important. Though how that control happens, I don't mean necessarily controlled as in don't do this, don't do that, but how they're managed. So, but their behaviour, she talks about the fact that there's a certain type of nanny that's been used, which is incredibly rarefied, expensive, and most people can't have. So I don't think we can look to them as a paragon and an example that we can all emulate.
First of all, they go to beautiful private schools where, you know, years ago, we always say it was the biggest mistake. When our kids were little, they went to private school for a couple of years. And I tell you, you come out of the door, you open the door, one person opens the door, all the other children follow, good morning, good morning, good morning. I mean, it's a rarefied world.
It's a rarefied world, but also at the same time, it felt like they were all robotic.
But then also add to that, they have Norland nannies. Also around them, they have people being incredibly polite. They're not down Asda's car park. They're not going around the Wimpy. They're not in bowling in Streatham.
Demanding Nikes because their friends have got them.
It's so funny with our daughter, who's been 6.5 years homeschooled and has now gone back to school, and she flips in and out of all these different accents. It's like listening to 10 different people. When she talks to us, she goes back to talking to us. But kids have to adapt to what their surroundings are, and actually they say it should encourage you if your child is changing their accent, because actually it's empathetic that human beings, because our daughter said, she had no concept that she changes her accent the whole time for whatever group of people she's with. Apparently it shows empathy. So they have all of that, first of all. They have their own nannies. They each have their own nannies, and they have the Norland nannies, which are the most expensive nannies in the world. Now, if you go to the Norland nanny college, you are guaranteed for the rest of your life 100% employment. And I was in the home of a very big pop star a few years ago. Beautiful home, lovely people, him and his wife actually. And they have Norland nannies for their children, and they live out in LA. And she was saying to me, oh my God, yes, they are amazing. Yes, but they are so expensive. And not only that, because they're coming out to LA, they want to spend a month in LA and then a month at home. So she had to have 2 so that they can swap the flights over. And you have to arrange all of that as well.
Okay.
Can you imagine?
Can I throw a fly in the ointment?
Can you imagine doing that?
No.
And how much that costs?
No.
But what do the Norland nannies learn? So they learn how to cook sea bass, how to cook beautiful meals for little Lord Fauntleroy. But they also do something called emotional, oh God, what's it called, Mark? Emotional, what's it called?
Yeah, it was emotional...
crikey. Management or something like that.
I'll find it, you carry on talking.
Emotional management. And I was like, oh God, what's this? Because Ulrika, in this article that Ulrika...
Emotional coaching.
Coaching. And I was like, Mark, right, what's this? Let's have a look at this. Let's see where we've gone wrong because we didn't do emotional coaching. But actually, as we were reading it, we said, oh, that's what we did with our kids. So it's all about... Because with your children, you want to help them regulate their feelings, don't they? Emotional regulation, exactly, Nicola. So it's things like... So the mistakes that we might make, and we made all of them at the beginning. It wasn't until we went to therapy that we actually started really understanding this stuff, actually. So your child is unhappy, they're crying, something bad's happened, and you say, oh, come here, let me just give you a cuddle, right? What you're doing, actually, then, this is the emotional coaching, is you're saying, come here and I will take it away, or we will quieten what you're feeling. Whereas if you talk to them and you get to the root, because they say it's the first part of the brain is here and it goes all crazy, it reacts, the child could be called naughty or badly behaved or whatever, because the top part of their brain is reacting to emotions. But underneath, the second part of the brain, this is what they talk about, what's going on? Why are they reacting this way? So instead of saying you're being very naughty, you've got to find out what's going underneath that makes them act out in the way that they are. So, you know, just sending someone to a naughty corner or sending them to their room when they behave badly would not be teaching them to regulate their feelings. That's basically the philosophy behind it.
As as DT says, paying for something you already do, just giving it a fancy name. The fly in the ointment I find with all of this is yet cost, yet emotional coaching, all this kind of stuff. Aren't they delivering on something that most parents know, but because of certain... Well, not most, but a lot of parents know, but because of circumstances, they can't enact. And, or, is it not also, in a weird way, the child might be coached, emotionally coached, and shown how to deal with these things and regulate and all this kind of stuff. But it doesn't give us an insight at all into their resentments, emotions, relationships with their parents, who they may feel completely estranged from because someone else has been doing all of the emotional coaching.
But what I find interesting in this is, my answer to you would be no. I don't think most parents know how to do this. We always say to our kids, we've had to learn on the job. We made so many mistakes. We wanted to keep them quiet. You know, Ulrika says electronic nannying. We've all become addicted to you can have your iPad in a minute. You can have a snack. We never had any snacks when we were kids. But now you can't go out for a day with the kids without them having snacks.
Well, Ross South says disrespectful kids are down to the parents. I agree. It's down to the parents. And also, I mean, one of the things is no parent knows how to parent when they become a parent, which is why lots of families, generation after generation after generation, emulate the behaviour of the generations before. So you'll often have kids throughout one family going to public school, or kids throughout one family going to uni, or not going to uni, or going into trades. It's because it's what you know, and it's what you inherit, and it's what you learn. But I agree. I think
training. Wouldn't it be amazing? Because there's lots of people that have been brought up in homes without any love and want all the good intentions to bring up their children better than them, but they haven't been given the tools. Like, our parents gave us some tools, they didn't give them a lot that we've learnt by ourselves. And wouldn't it be great if people could get help with emotional coaching in the way that a Norland nanny was, you know? I think it would be such a good investment for governments to make, because down the line you'll get better behaviour, better productivity, better mental health, better everything. If children, what is they say, up until the year of 7, give me the child and I'll give you the man, or give you the adult.
I personally think there's a huge problem with parenting, which is there's this completely notional idea that there is a perfect way, to parent, and that we're all somehow aiming for some kind of benchmark of consistency or behaviour or whatever. I think the common judgment of a kid, as who's it, Pink Lady says, emotional regulation like not allowing a 12-year-old to cry at his mother's funeral. You know, I mean, in a weird way, perhaps they should have been able to cry. Perhaps.
Who didn't allow them to cry?
Well, no. I don't know. I mean, I'm talking about the fact that, you know, these kids that were at their grandmother's funeral, the fact that they were in control and they didn't look spoiled. What one person's spoiled behaviour to another person is simply, I mean, a classic example is you go to most pubs and parents who think their kids running riot and doing stuff is creative play and it's self-expression. And you could argue that just because they were incredibly sort of proper and well behaved, you could argue actually they've been straitjacketed into not feeling something. So I think it's dangerous to get into what good behaviour and what bad behaviour is and what spoiled behaviour is. I do think one thing Ulrika Johnson says that's really interesting though, is that we live in fear of our children getting bored. We live in total fear, and that's my worst trait as a parent, is wanting to overstimulate or keep busy, not in a kind of necessarily in a work capacity, though that too, learning, but experiencing stuff.
Everything that me and my sisters enjoyed and loved as kids came out of us being bored. But Mark, I think again, because this was probably something to do with where there was gaps in the parenting that you got, you were like left too much on your own. So it was like a panic. It was like something in you that thought the best thing to do here as a father is to never let them be bored. Honestly, 15 minutes because they're bored. God, they're not. He would even interpret them just doing anything as boredom. It was like your biggest fear, wasn't it? That they would be bored.
Yes.
And it's out of boredom that
creativity
comes.
And I still struggle with it now. I deal really badly with boredom. I feel that every single minute has to either you're reading something, you're consuming something,
but if
you're
they're
writing
bored,
something,
they'll
you're
find the way to make those minutes like you did as a child.
No, I agree, but it's funny, isn't it? Your own experience of your childhood. I don't remember thinking I was bored. I just remember being full of industry and kind of making
because there was nobody entertaining you. And I think a big problem. But I just want to say just quickly, I do not agree that everything is down to the parents. I think peer pressure and the groups that your children are in and everything. I've seen amazing parents have children go completely off the rails.
True.
So I
it's
really
not
don't
just
think.
one thing.
I really don't
agree
think
with that.
it takes a village.
I agree with that.
But,
can I just read? This is an interesting point. Sarah Begley. Agree, Mark. Look at. I'm not just saying because you agree, but I think this is a really interesting point. Look at the mixed reaction to Prince Louis. So, you know, precocious or just the natural behaviour of a child.
He was 4.
Yeah.
My mum was so judgy of Louis. She was like, terribly behaved. I was like, Mum, he's 4. He sat there for hours and hours and hours with no snacks, no iPad, no nothing, uncomfortable on a hard chair, itchy bum because he probably had posh shorts on. I thought he was brilliant and he was funny and he was entertaining. Yeah. I just think I think it's more of a struggle than people let on. Being a parent is so hard. Our girls now, Maddie's will soon be off, and they're growing up, and there is not a single day. I'm telling you, not a single day that I don't live with regret. I wish I'd known that. I wish I'd done it this way. I wish I'd done it. So if you're feeling like that, I promise you, the majority of parents are feeling in the same way, but so often parents don't share it because there's this idea that we're all supposed to be doing it bloody brilliantly. It's the hardest thing.
Tired mummy, I think a good parent will always worry if they're a good parent. I mean, that for me, in a sense, is in a weird way, your role as a parent is to be never getting it right, but forever wanting to get it right, because there is no absolute right. Tired mummy, I have my second son off to uni tomorrow, so wondering if I did all I can. That's 2 at uni now and 1 left at home. Will be so quiet. It's odd, isn't it, as they head into the world? It really is odd. Just quickly, because we're running out of time, Davina McCall is partying till 2 a.m. with pals as her 50s gives new lease of life. She's really... I tell you what, the part of this that amazes me is when you reminded me, because I forget, that she's doing all of this without a drink.
This is the thing that I love about this, because I think a lot of women tend to accelerate. I think they're drinking in their 50s. Often that is because menopause is knocking them sideways, and they are self-medicating. The exhaustion, the low mood, the body horrors, you know, feeling that you put on weight and all of that. And women, I see a lot of it, self-medicate with Prosecco, which is so bad for you. Please don't drink Prosecco, guys. Don't drink Prosecco.
Are you really saying that?
I really, really...
I don't actually ever see you drinking Prosecco.
I will not touch Prosecco.
You've become much more of a cocktail
because
drinker,
Prosecco has so many chemicals in it because they have to produce such vast amounts to satisfy the world's. Please don't drink Prosecco. There is a lot of stuff written about that and connections to all sorts of things we don't want. But anyway, so but Davina does all of this without a drink, and I love it. She says, I go out till 2 a.m. dancing because I can sleep till 10 now because my kids sleep till 12. Well, great. I love her boyfriend as well. We love their podcast, Making the Cut.
Yeah, no,
check
absolutely.
it out.
Brilliant.
So, you know, she's definitely got a new lease of life. The HRT, which she talks about a lot, I must always remember that for some people
really
at HRT
engaging.
do not. I must always think about those people at HRT doesn't work for. Some people it just doesn't work. But if you're lucky enough that it does work for you, and Davina is one of them,
she's so
living
fit,
life
isn't she?
Oh, she works.
I saw a post of Davina the other day, and she was doing this move, and I didn't tell you this, but I secretly tried to do the move. I nearly dislocated my back. It was awful. She was kind of lunging forward, lunging back, lunging forward, lunging back. I couldn't.
Oh, when she was punching.
I mean, have you seen the flexibility?
She's amazing. She works out bloody hard.
Anyway, is 50 or 60 the new 40? Do you remember life begins at 40? When does life begin for you guys? And whilst you're answering that, I'm going to scuttle through a couple of other stories.
Yeah, because somebody just joined this because they saw that Tom Hardy...
Yeah, we're getting to Tom
was
Hardy.
in the title, and she said, I've come because I've seen Tom Hardy.
It's Sophie. Well, okay, let's lead with Tom Hardy. I quite like this, and this might be a topic for a discussion another time. I remember when we worked with Jo Brand many years ago, in a passing comment, she said how much she liked swimming, and off the back of that, we ended up making a series about her swimming. And it's those secondary pursuits or interests or alternative interests that people have. And Tom Hardy has surprised people with entering and winning a martial arts contest.
Really?
He won gold in the 2022 Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Open Championship in Milton Keynes. Yeah, so he entered.
Have we told Lisa this?
There he is. He made a surprise appearance in a martial arts competition on Saturday and won the event. 45.
Good God.
Quite something. A spokesman for the championships called Hardy a really nice guy who was a real pleasure to host at their time. You wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of Tom Hardy, would you? Everyone recognised him, but he was very humble and was happy to take time out for people to take photographs with him. Imagine that. I mean, imagine entering something like that and winning it. That's
Good
just
God.
quite something.
That's
so
great.
From Davina to Tom Hardy. Queen, just some details here. The Queen's name has been inscribed. This was quite, I thought, poignant. Has been inscribed on the chapel stone alongside those of her parents and Philip's. And when Windsor opens on the 29th, you will be able to go and see the freshly inscribed name. It just seemed to, you often look, I tell you what it made me think of is when you go to churches, you often look at the much kind of rubbed sort of tombstones, don't you, that have been brushed over time, and my nan was fascinated by all of that.
Tracy Mayhook says she'd get on the wrong side of Tom Hardy.
Oh yeah, so would Lisa, so would you. I mean, I think I would too. Come on, get on the wrong side of me, Tom. Anyway, no, so it's a somber detail, but her name's been sort of immortalised in the stone at the back of Windsor Castle. And then this story came up yesterday. Just read that.
Top executive at vegan firm Beyond Meat accused of biting man's nose and ripping flesh off. Was he that desperate for meat?
It just does strike you as strange
I like
that
Beyond
a
Meat
chief
burgers.
Operating officer of a vegan company, due to some sort of altercation,
ripped the tip of it off.
Some altercation about their cars, bit a man's nose and ripped flesh off it.
Good
I
God.
thought that would be an absolute no. Maybe it was just pent-up rage that he's not been able to have meat for so long. What do you think? Curious, isn't it?
I love the way everyone's still talking about Tom Hardy. What is it that he does to people?
It's just there's just
people just love Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
Looking it up, Tom Hardy.
And finally, the man who tried to check if the Queen was in the coffin, I think they've got a real problem here. He's having to go to a mental health institute. They've recommended that he does. But he has said in statement that he's going to spend most of his life trying to talk to the royal family. So I think they've got a bit of an issue there.
Major stalker.
Yeah, a major stalker. He says he
dear.
wants to go up to Windsor and talk to Prince Charles. So, obviously, a fundamental.
And of course, what you have to remember is stalkers would never think of themselves as a stalker. For him, he will believe that this is absolutely
his reality.
Yeah, his reality.
He's worried about where the Queen is. Right.
Right. Oh, can I just ask? Did anyone watch Crossfire yesterday?
Well, on BBC One.
We were a bit
Keely
annoyed that we
Hawes.
missed that. Is that something you're all going to watch? Would you like us to do reviews of it?
Keely Hawes.
And also, are you going to be watching the Boris one? When does that one start?
I'm not too sure. But also, there's a new, in October, go to iTalk TV or iTalk Telly, new series starring our favourite Stephen Graham, in which he plays
Yeah,
a
we're going to be
neo-Nazi.
watching and reviewing that.
A few people have seen it. Yes, loved it. Sharon JL.
Oh, did you?
Oh, maybe we should
Lots
go back
of
to
people
it.
have taped it, so
Yeah.
we could catch up if we watch episode
Probably
1.
taped it because Married at First Sight was on.
Oh, is it on at the same time?
I think
Afraid
it's on at
nothing
9.
I will not turn off Married First Sight.
Sophie R would love us to do a review of it. Boris one will be a must-watch.
Yeah, Mark, go away.
I'm looking forward to the Boris one. He does slightly, though, give
Catch
me
up, so it's really good.
echoes of Sloth from the Goonies. I don't know if that's intentional. Okay, Henrietta, happy birthday. Sorry
Happy
for
birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Henrietta. Happy birthday to you.
And Bernie.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Bernie. Happy birthday to you.
And Michelle.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Michelle. Happy birthday to you.
And a shout out to Katie K's dad. I'm sure that would be nice from you. Give it a little
Katie
shout out.
K's dad, big hugs, big kisses. I'm sure you're very proud, Daddy, of Katie K.
Exactly. Guys, 20 memberships have just been gifted. It's just a little kind of gesture.
Oh yeah,
They've
we
just
do
flown
this
around.
every so often, and
Yeah.
it was actually Stacey Randall that gave this idea. Which
Yeah,
was so
we didn't
sweet.
even know it was a
We didn't know we could do
facility.
it. So there will be 20 random people who get a month's free membership
Today.
today. So keep
Yeah.
your eyes open because you might be one, and then you can see what we do over in the members.
Yeah,
zone.
and if you get one of those, you can go over to the playlists, check out the Sunday Show playlist, and you can tune into countless hundreds of Sunday shows. Members Live will be happening this week at some point. Last week's was fun with Nanny Di. Cards, you can win cards there. Cards have gone out and are going out. And yeah. And there's something's going to be landing later. I'm trying to think what. Married at First Sight tonight,
Yeah, we'll
for
see
sure.
you live after Married First Sight
Yeah.
for a gossip.
Absolutely. Have a lovely day, everyone.